Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, today we will clearing our intentions that we are seeking knowledge for the sake of the pleasure of Allah, because it is the order of Allah to seek knowledge, and that with this knowledge we will try to serve people. It will not be used for our personal gain and profit, to feel proud and to be able to argue with others and defeat them in arguments. These are all bad and harmful uses of knowledge. Actually, we acquire knowledge, it should give us humility, because this is something we cannot get except by the will of Allah. So, after making the niyyah and after making dua to Allah, Rabbi zidni ilma, we open our hearts, because the real knowledge is the knowledge which enters the heart. It is not knowledge of the mind. As I have been telling you, that there are three spheres on which we need to work simultaneously. One is the mental sphere, which is the models and the analysis. And all of Western theory is concerned only with the mental sphere. Then there is the sphere of observations, that is the appearances, it's called the phenomena. So that is also necessary. We need to look at the phenomena. And then there is the sphere of reality, the noumenon. So that is the hidden sphere, that is, we have no access to directly. So in our mind we create models in which we try to replicate reality. And the hints to what is reality is contained in the appearance. So all three are involved at the same time. And so we have to think in three ways. So today, what I am trying to teach you is 3 times what is the normal course in economics. Now, this type of knowledge is difficult, it is risky. So, because actually when you do all of these things, you feel unsafe, you feel that lack of confidence. So you should forget about the past frustrations. You have humility in yourself, but you have trust in Allah that He can grant knowledge. So with that trust you feel confidence. And you have to unlearn a lot of things that you have been taught. Those things are wrong and they actually create obstacles. If you think along the wrong training that you have been given, then you will be unable to see the reality. Now actually knowledge is not a static thing. There is a picture of knowledge that we learn something and we learn more and eventually knowledge expands. This is not a correct picture of knowledge. Knowledge is actually a battle. It is always a struggle. So currently what I am teaching you is exactly the opposite of what is being taught in nearly all universities in economics around the world. So what I am going to try to teach you is why neoclassical utility theory is completely wrong. So that's one level. But I am also going to try to teach you why it came to be that something that is completely wrong is being taught all over the world, and how it is that people can deceive other people into believing things which are false. So I am teaching you not a theoretical knowledge which is only good for books, but actually a practical knowledge which is useful in a battle. You have to go and try to convince other people that what they are teaching, what they are learning in utility theory is wrong, and you should be able to learn how to do that. So today we will talk about game theory. This is one of the easiest places where the contradictions between what is taught in economics. अच्छा ये वाला है मैं सोच रहा था कि ये वाला पेन सही नहीं and what is the reality becomes very clear. So I'm going to teach you the basics of game theory. So there is something which is called tree diagram, which is also called the extensive form of a game. Probably you have seen it before. Game theory is taught nowadays. Have you seen? How many people have seen tree diagrams of games? You haven't seen a tree diagram?
We don't have that course. Yes.
All right. All right, so I'm going to all right, so what I will do is I will first ask you, okay, let me just draw a simple game. So here is a game in which there are two players. So a node is a circle like this. This is called a node. This is a choice point. At this point, one or the other players has to make a move. Let's say that there is player A, Akbar, and he has a choice. He can make two moves. He can make the move left, or he can make move right. So these are the two moves that he has. So this is a node, and these are the branches. The branches are decision points. So Akbar can choose to go here or there. Now once he makes this move, then the other player, Bilal, gets to make a move. So now he can have also two moves, or he can have different moves. So he has three possible moves here, 1, 2 and 3, after which Akbar can move again, and maybe the game ends here. This is terminal node. So Akbar can move again, and he has choice A and B, and the game ends here. Maybe the game ends here also. And then in this case he has move 1 and move 2, and the game ends. So this is just illustration of a diagram in which this is a tree diagram for a game. So initially A has two possible moves, then B gets the turn. If A makes the first move, then B gets three possible moves. If A makes the right move, then B has only two possible moves. And it could also be that A has a third move, which ends the game. So this is also possible. So this is just an illustration of how we diagram. This is also called a decision tree, in which A makes a decision, and then B makes a decision depending on what, and then A makes a decision, and ultimately all the decision end. And so at the terminal node, what we usually have is payoffs. So let me write the payoff here, and the payoff is a pair. A gets something and B gets something. So this can be A gets 0 and B gets 1. 0, 1 for short. Let me call this 0, 2. So now in this, if B plays 2, then A gets 0 and B gets 1. If B plays 3, then A gets 0 and B gets 2. So which one should B play between just thinking about 2 and 3? 3, yes, he gets a higher payoff. This is the standard. You see, when you solve a game, you solve the game by backward recursion, by working from the bottom of the tree where you can easily decide what is going to happen. So now in this, well, let's say what happens when A makes a choice. So let's say that A gets 2 and 2 here. So both of the people get 2 here. And both of the people get 4. So which of these choices is A going to make? B, yes. So then we can say, so what we do is we work backwards. So we know that A is going to make this choice. So that means that the payoff at this node is going to be 4 and 4. Right? So if we get here, then we can assume that the payoff will be 4 and 4. So now among the 1, 2 and 3, which choice will B make? Yes, B will choose to go here. So this is 4 and 4. And now suppose that this is 3, 3. And this is 6, 3. So now what's B going to do?
Is it different?
Yeah, he's indifferent between 1 and 2. So we don't know what he will do. So now we have to decide whether A is going to be an optimist or a pessimist. If this really depends on whether B has goodwill towards A or not. So this could be 6, 3, or it could be 3, 3. And now suppose this is 5, 0. So now what should A play? H. If he plays H, he gets 5. If he plays L, he can get 4. If he plays R, he might be able to get 6. Now according to traditional game theory, which is written in the textbooks, then A should play H. However, in any, so which means that he will end up getting 5 and the other player will get 0. However, in any normal situation where people are involved and there is some familiarity and context, what will actually happen?
So it's about risk taking and risk. If he's a risk taker, he'll opt R.
You see, there is more involved here. Suppose you opt R, and suppose the other player, both people are seeing the whole situation. So B knows that if A plays H, he can get 5 for himself and walk out of the game. This is actually called an exit option. Exit. I don't want to play the game, I'll just take my $5 and go. Or he says that, okay, I will play this R, which will actually for the benefit of B, because B is now going to get 3 regardless of what he chooses. So what do you think, once we explain the game in this way, what do you think B will do?
B will go for the second.
Why?
अगर उसने उसका ख्याल रखा है तो वो भी
Exactly. B is going to reciprocate. A has done B a favor, and now B is going to return the favor by playing B. So we can more or less count on this outcome. So this means that actually the analysis, see, suppose this is 6-2. Now in this case, the standard game theory will say that this is 3-3. Now it is guaranteed. There is no, this one option doesn't arise because B is supposed to be selfish utility maximizer. So selfish utility maximizer will not care that A has done him a favor or not. He will say that there are 2 options and I will have higher return by playing 1, so I will play 1. So now this is a situation which is actually not clear, in the sense that in a real world anything can happen. I mean, if you have 2 real players, it could go this and this, which is against the rationality of both of them. That is, according to the game theory which is taught in all books currently, A will play H because 5 is more than 3 and more than 4. So that's it, the game ends. However, in real world, this might not happen. A might play R and B might play 2, getting less for himself because he knows that the other person has sacrificed, has avoided giving him 0, which he had the chance to. So he said, okay, I'll take less in order to return the favor. So now I have explained to you the game. Now what I would like to do is to, everybody should take out a sheet of paper. First we are going to play a game. This is the game of NIM. So I just have these. I was planning to bring some coins, but I forgot. So anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of paper. Let's see. You will play with head. So the rest of the people will watch. So now it is your move. You get to choose the one who takes the last piece of paper wins. I can mark that, and you start from that end. And this is the piece of paper that you have to take. And you can take only 1 or 2. That's your. And every player has the chance at his turn can either take 1 piece or take 2 pieces. You are his advisor and you are her advisor. So you start and you take either 1 piece or you take 2 pieces. You start from that end and we go down this way. This is the end. Whoever takes this piece is the winner. So your turn. Take 1. Okay. You can take 1 or 2. You're getting good advice. You're getting good advice. Now your turn.
हमारे पास payoff तो बराबर ही है.
Payoff is the one who gets the last player wins. So it's she has won. Now you play first. Take one or two? Your turn. One. Oops, you made a mistake. Now your turn. You lost. Okay. I haven't closed it. Now. Yes. Now, what I want you to do, everyone has a piece of paper, is to diagram this game, but with 6 places it will be very difficult. इसको कैसे मिटाते हैं? हाँ? हाँ, next page पे तो ठीक है. Next page. Alright, so where is my pen here? So you start by, we will play the game. I mean, I want you to diagram the the game. This is called the game of NIM, with only 5 pieces of paper. So you start with 5, and the player is A, and this is your first node, and then A has 2 choices. He can remove 1 or he can remove 2. At that point, the other player comes in, and now he will have 4 stones, and B will be on the move, and this will be 3 stones, and B will be on the move. So draw the tree diagram for this game. I want you to do it on your own. With 5 pieces. Because the 6th piece will be too long and complicated. So for practice. All right, has everybody got it? Yes? Okay, so what's the, can somebody come up and draw? Yes. Oops, it is. That's it, yeah. उसके बाद terminal node है. What happens at the end? And you draw the terminal node. See, at this point, okay, A has no choice. He just makes one move, which is to remove the 1. The game ends, and A wins, right? Because he got the last one. So we can say that this is 1 and 0. 1 win for A and 0 for B. At this point 2, A has a choice of playing 1, in which case he will give the win to B. And then this is the terminal node in which B will win and A will get 0, right? If he plays 2, then he wins, and this is the terminal node, and A gets 1 and B gets 0. Now from this point, again we have, if A can remove 1, and basically this is the same as this one, and A can remove 2, in which case he wins. And now if B has 1, then B will win by taking that 1, and so this will be 1 and 0. And if B has 2, then he can lose by removing 1 stone, giving it to A, and now A will win, or he can remove both stones and thereby win. So now, did everybody get this picture? See, this is the goal of the game, to teach you how to draw pictures of games, the decision tree. The second goal is to teach you how to solve this game. Now we're going to solve this game. So we just work backwards. What will happen at this node? A wins, which is 1, 0. And here B wins. So what's going to be B going to choose between these two?
0, 1.
Yeah, he's going to choose win. So B wins actually in this game. At this node, if the game gets here, B will win because he will make the winning choice. So this will be 0, 1. Now, what about this one? Again, B will win, right? So, again, this is also 0, 1. So at 3, whatever choice A makes, this is very important. Whether he removes 1 or whether he removes 2, B will win. So at 3 you are in a lost position. And this is what we noticed in the game. If you have come to 3, then you are dead. Now if you go on the other one, so if B has 4 stones, if he removes 1, then there will be 3 left and he will lose. What if you remove 2, then what will happen? Well, A has a choice between, when he has 2, he removes 2, then he wins, and if he removes 1, then B will win. So what will he do? He will remove 2, so A will win. So this is a 1 and 0, and A wins. So now, what will B do?
Remove 1.
B will remove 1 stone, he will not remove 2 stones. So this means that at 4 stones, B will win, because he will remove 1 stone and present 3 stones to A, which is a lost game for A. So what about this move? A has 1. So this is 1, 0. At 2 stones, what will happen? A wins by removing 2 and loses by removing 1. So what will he do? He will remove 2. So he will have 1, 0. So at 3 stones, regardless of what B does, the result is a victory for A. This is the same thing that we saw on the other side. So this is 1, 0. So once you are at 3 stones, then you have a lost game. If you have the person who is, so if we start the game with 3, you are automatically losing. But now at 5, A has 2 choices. He can remove 1 stone, which is what he did, and give 4 to the other, which causes a loss. or he can do the other one. So what is the result of this game?
2.
Yeah, he will play 2
1-0.
and win. So the theory of games says that, so this is a one game guaranteed for A. What A has to do is to remove 2 stones, present B with 3 stones, and then B will be forced to lose. So this is not how the game went. Now, according to the theory of rational behavior, we should have been able to see this right away and calculate. This is what optimization and maximization means. This is what game theory predicts your behavior is. So, alright, so now we have dealt with the game in tree form. This is a deterministic game, and just understanding this leads to a very interesting result, which is actually known as Zermelo's theorem. If you take any game which is like chess, one person makes a move, the other person makes a move. So you can make a tree diagram of that. It will be a very long diagram, you can't actually draw it. But we can go to the end, and there are 3 types of positions. There are draws, and there are win for black, and there is a win for white. So there are 3 endings. The terminal node will have one of 3 labels. Either black has one, or white has one, or a draw. So now we just suppose we solve this game. Right, we go to the last move and then we work backwards up the tree. So in the end, the result will be when you have white as the first mover, we will have either a win for white, or a draw, or a win for black. These are the only 3 possibilities. Nothing else can happen. So that is what Zermelo's theorem is. Zermelo's theorem says that in the game of chess, either white can force a win regardless of what black does, or both sides can force a draw, or black can force a win. One of these 3 possibilities holds. There is no other possibility. It's not that sometimes white will win, sometimes black will win. There is a best strategy for white which will always win the game, or there is a best strategy for both white and black which will ensure that there is a draw, and that is the most likely result, because nobody can actually draw the tree and do the computation. But logically we know that these are the 3 possibilities. Or it is possible that the game is set up so that white is already in a losing position from the start, and regardless of what he does, if black plays the optimal strategy, then white will always lose. These are the 3 logical possibilities. There is no other. And especially sometimes one will win, sometimes the other will win. This is not possible logically. Only happens because people make mistakes, like people make mistakes here. So there is an interesting question that I was asked when I was taught this theory in my game theory course. I'm going to ask this question. It's a chocolate question. Suppose that you have a super genius sitting next to you, or a computer which can analyze the game to the end, and it is allowed to cheat. You can show it a position in chess and ask, is this a 1 position if some genius was playing it, or is it a lost position? So there are only 3 possibilities, or is it a drawn position? So the computer can tell you that you show it a chess position, it will tell you, is this lost? It doesn't tell you what move you have to make to win. But it can tell you, it can look at a position and tell you this is a one position. If white plays his best strategy, if Bobby Fischer or Boris Spassky or some of the great grand champions were here, then they would win in this position guaranteed. Or regardless of, even if Spassky was here, this position is a completely lost position as long as the other player plays the best moves. Of course, if Nardi is sitting on the other side, anything can happen. But if the black and or it can tell this position is drawn if both people are best. So would that be of great help to you? I mean, in terms of your being able to do anything. They're not telling you what the move is. They just the computer can tell you what is a one position, what is a lost position, what is a drawn position, with best play on both sides. Super genius is playing on both sides. Now you're not a super genius. You can make simple mistakes. And so will that be helpful, or can you win the game with that help? Will that be useful to you or not? Not very useful. Well, let me tell you that if you had such a machine, you could beat the greatest grand master in living on this planet right now. How? No. You have this, you are playing with an ordinary human being, and you are also an ordinary human being, but you have this person and this computer which you can show a position and ask, is this a one position? So how will you use this position to win the game even if Boris Spassky is playing against you?
We know if first mover will always win the game, then we try that we will be the first mover.
No, that's not.
सर हम तब तक चेंज करते रहेंगे सर जब तक वो ये ना आ जाए कि आप इस पोजीशन पे जीते रहे.
Exactly. Yes. You try out a move. You say, okay, I move pawn to king 4, and I show him, is this a one position? And you go through all the moves and you ask, is this a one position? And he's whenever, so you choose the branch which goes towards victory.
Yes.
At every moment, and at every step you make. There are many branches. Some of them are going towards loss. Like in this one, this branch is going towards a loss, and this branch is going towards a win. So you ask the computer you show him this, and is this a win or a loss? You can't do the computer. This is a loss for white. You say this. You show him this position. You say this is a win. Okay, so you make this move, and you don't need to know what the strategy is. At every step you ask, is this now a win position? Is this a loss position? And you can win the game against the best player on the planet. So nobody got the chocolate. Maybe half a chocolate. Alright. So next, let's take the picture. That's okay, but there's no point. You can go on to the next page. Acha. Now I'm going to draw a classical game, very standard game known as the Battle of the Sexes. This is about a husband and wife, and so there is there are actually three representations that I want to show. So there is the game. Okay, first. Oh yes. This is what I want to do. I would like you to give you some practice. So I want you to draw the game tree for this. There are two moves for both. There are basically, okay, let me give the verbal description of the game. The wife would like to go shopping, and the husband would like to go to see the cricket game. Now, both want to stay together. So, the wife has the move, she can choose to play cricket or play shopping, and then the husband has the move, and he can play either of the two. So now, the payoff is 0 to both if they are separate. So, if the wife chooses cricket and he chooses shopping, or vice versa, actually that's the negative. Both of them have negative payoffs because she doesn't like cricket very much and he doesn't like shopping very much. Now if the wife chooses shopping and husband chooses cricket, then both get +1, but they lose for not being together. So in a case that they are together, so cricket, then husband gets 5 and wife gets 3. And if it's shopping, then wife gets 5 and husband gets 3. So draw the tree diagram with the outcomes.
Starting with the wife?
Yes, starting with the wife.
We have contained 5 and
5 and 3 if they are for
They are together in any case.
yes. For 5 is for the wife if they are both shopping, and 3 for the husband, and vice versa. If it's both cricket, then 5 and 3. No, that's not a correct diagram. You have only one move. You have to have 2 moves before you get to the terminal node. First the wife moves, then the husband moves, and then you have the terminal node. You should look at your neighbor. I'm not asking for that is the normal form of the game that we'll do later. This is the sequential game. In sequential game, you can help each other, look at each other. And in a sequential game, you have one player makes move, then the second player makes move. So we have 2 possible sequential games here. If the husband makes the first move, it's a different game. If the wife makes the first move, it's a different game. If both of them make the move together, that's a different game that we will discuss later.
So this is separate.
Wife moves first, yes.
So she certainly goes with shopping.
No, she in the tree you just make the diagram.
That's the wrong.
In the tree you just you are making a decision tree overall, yes. We are not solving the game, we are just drawing the tree diagram.
So shopping the payoff 3 5
5 5 for the wife है हो गया ठीक है आप आगे ड्रॉ कर दें. What is your name? Fausia. Oh yes, Fausia has already won 1 chocolate. So. Okay, 5 moves, yes.
She can choose between shopping and
cricket.
cricket.
Yes.
Now it's husband's move.
Yes.
Husband can choose shopping and cricket.
Good.
Now husband can choose shopping or cricket.
Very good. This is the tree diagram. Now you need to draw the outcomes. Yes.
Shopping because shopping is preference for wife. His payoff is 5 and husband is 3.
Yes.
Shopping
5 for the wife, 3 for the husband.
3 for
yes.
the husband.
Yes.
And shopping cricket because they are separate, so 0 and 0.
Okay.
And here shopping and cricket again 0 and 0. And cricket is the preference for husband, and so payoff will be 3 and 5.
Yes. That is the usual. Now there's one more thing that we could do, that if you go shopping cricket, then this one, since wife is shopping and husband is doing cricket, at least they are doing both what they want to do, so you can put 1-1 over here.
Here?
Yeah, this should be 1-1. They are getting some pleasure.
1.
Yes. And if it is cricket and shopping, then this is -1, -1.
-1.
Both are doing the thing they don't want to do. All right. So, according to the game theory, then now solve this game. Let's have somebody else solve this game. Yes. You want to solve this game? क्या हुआ?
समझ भी नहीं आ रहा है.
ये नहीं समझ में आया तुम्हें?
ये समझ आ गई.
payoff चेंज करनी है अगर आपके पास.
भाई यहाँ पे क्या आउटकम हुआ? What did we? Wife chose to go shopping husband chose to go to play cricket. So what happens? Wife is shopping, husband is cricket, they are separate. So that's not a good outcome for them, but wife likes to shop, husband likes to watch cricket, so they both get +1.
But wife के लिए तो preferable वो shopping है.
So shopping पे wife gets 5 points and husband gets 3. Both of them are better off than being separate, right? He is getting 3, not 1. So they are both prefer to be shopping, but he is not at the maximum of his utility. He would prefer that both of them should be watching cricket. That's 5 for him. समझ में आया कि नहीं आया?
उसके लिए तो preferable shopping है और उसके लिए preferable cricket है. दोनों opposite move play कर रहे हैं.
क्योंकि assumption हम लोगों ने ली थी कि दोनों जो है वो इकट्ठे रहना चाहते हैं. अगर वो separate हो जाते हैं तो उनके payoffs जो है वो नहीं रहते.
लेकिन अगर वो इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं ज़्यादा भी हो जाते हैं, लेकिन उससे payoff से तो ज़्यादा है ना, 1-1 से तो ज़्यादा है ना 3 यहाँ पे.
अभी theorem हम game draw कर रहे हैं, solve नहीं कर रहे.
This is just the description of the decision tree. We haven't solved it. Now we want to solve this game next. What will happen? Yes. आप पहले आ चुके किसी और. Yes. Do you understand what is going on? नहीं.
Game अब तक समझ आ गई.
बस game समझना नहीं. That's all.
इस क्वेश्चन के ऊपर the husband is not taking this position, he is not going to play the cricket, but it is the
Yes, that's right. When the wife chooses to shop, husband will not play cricket, even though he prefers cricket, because he will get higher payoff by shopping. So the outcome will be at this node. What will it be?
5-3.
Exactly.
And on this node, it's the same thing. I put the 3-5.
So, but wife is the first mover.
Yes.
So she will always select it.
Abhi we are working on to that solution now.
In between these two positions, you look in the higher.
Yes, the wife gets 3 if she chooses shop. No, sorry. Wife gets 5 if she chooses shopping, and 3 if she chooses cricket. So she will choose. Yes, so that's it. So in this game then, that is according to the standard solution concept. If wife plays shopping, husband will also play shopping, and then they will get 5-3, which is the wife's best possible outcome. If she plays cricket, then husband will also play cricket, obviously, and he will get 5-3. He will get 5 and wife will get 3. So according to the standard game theory, a wife will play shopping. But is this really what will happen? See, this is what I am trying to teach you, that there are models, this is a model, and then there is reality. And you have to match, what you have been mistrained to do is to just think about the model, never think about reality. And this is ridiculous. This is not how you make good theories. Okay, and this theory has something. The model is not useless. It captures something about reality, but not all the things. So you have to understand, you have to think separately about the reality, and actually you can only think about the reality because you have experience of this situation. So the observations, although they are not there directly, but actually you have a lot of observations in life which are matched to this sufficiently that you can understand what the observation would be, and you have experience which allows you to guess about the reality. See, when I asked you to play the game, then you got real world experience of the game and also experience of how the player feels when he's playing the game. So now we are working on all 3 fronts: the observation, the reality, which is what's going on in the heart, and the model. And all 3 things are separate, and you have to keep all 3 things. So now here is the game theoretic analysis. What is the reality? Is this how this game will be played? No. What might happen? What other real factors might be relevant which are not here in this model? Mutual understanding is possible. Yes, it's possible that they will work out a compromise, that we'll watch half the match and then we'll go shopping.
Sir, mostly ऐसे ही होगा कि husband को इसके right देने का तरीका वैसे wife ही
The wife might sacrifice. Women are taught to sacrifice.
अच्छा ये भी हो सकता है कि हस्बैंड को पता है कि आजकल सारे शॉपिंग सेंटर्स में एलईडीज लगी हैं तो देख सकते हैं
All of these things are possible, but basically what's important from the point of view of game theory is that selfish maximization is not necessarily the right model. In fact, that's usually not the right model. Just what happens more generally is that people are social, so they like to make others happy, even if they suffer as a result. So the chances are not bad that wife will say that okay, let's go cricket, and even the husband will say no, I don't want to go cricket. Let's go shopping. So this can certainly happen. Yes. Yes. Well, those are not complications that we are worried about in this game model. So now, as I can show you, and we can reverse this game. Husband gets the first move. So in this game, there is what is called a first mover advantage. And if you play strictly, if you don't go to the real world, you stay only in the model world. It's very important. You see, you have to understand the model world on its own terms without mixing it with reality. And then you have to compare with reality. And you have to see, is this model relevant? In some cases, like in the game of NIM, it's not, there are two types of game actually. There's called non-cooperative game theory, which is also, there is zero-sum game. If someone wins, the other person loses. So there is no possibility of cooperation. Either I win and you lose, or you win and I lose. Even in that, some people are above winning and losing. Say, okay, I allow you to win. So actually, my wife tells me that she had two younger brothers. So the youngest was a genius at chess, and the older brother was not so good. So whenever he would win, he would tease the other guy, saying, "Yeah, you lost, you lost." He would cry. But whenever the younger child won, which would happen quite often, he would say, "I let you win." So that would make him cry even more. No, I won on my own. So the thing is that in a zero-sum game, the interests are opposed. So you can, this model of selfish utility maximization is usually works well, but sometimes it doesn't. But most of the time. So anyway, the point is that you have to keep the model distinguished from reality, and you have to understand in what situations the model will work, in what situations the model will not work. Now in all of economics, you can go, study general equilibrium theory. They never tell you, is this model relevant to the real world? What are the situations in which it applies? What are the situations in which the assumptions fail? Because as I said, the philosophy of science, Kant and others, those people said that the reality we cannot access, so just forget about reality. So that's the problem with the conventional economic theory. It never looks at reality. So here, when we start looking at reality, then we have situations where the model works well, situations where the model doesn't work well. So there are two types of games. They are non-cooperative games, which are one special type of non-cooperative is zero-sum. In a zero-sum game, loss of one person is, so in a zero-sum game, the payoffs are always opposite of each other. So if this is 3, then the other one is -3. So if one person wins, the other person loses by exactly the same amount. So the interests are exactly opposed. This is in a cooperative game, both players can win simultaneously and both can also lose simultaneously. So in this game, if you play it in a non-cooperative way, selfish utility maximization, in this game there is a first player advantage. If we put the husband at the first move, then if we put the wife at the first move and look locally, this is the only game which is played, but it's only a one-time game. Again, if game is played repeatedly, then there are many ways that people can work out compromises that, okay, today we will go cricket and tomorrow we will go shopping, so doesn't matter who moves first, they will arrive at the same solution. But if we look at only one game, then in a one-shot game, the wife will, the first mover has an advantage here. If wife plays first, it will be shopping outcome. If husband plays fair, then it will be cricket outcome, because it's his first move. If we solve the game as the usual, then the husband will prefer the cricket strategy and the wife will again prefer the cricket strategy to shopping. So this player has a first mover advantage, but this is not necessarily true. We just saw in the game of NIM, if you start with 3, then the first player loses. So again, if you start with 6, the first player loses, because why? Start with 6 stones, first player will lose. Why? I mean, it's not even numbers. 4 is not. 4 is a win for the first. Okay, you can think about that later. Anyway, what I wanted to say was that some games are first player advantage, other games are second player advantage. So there is no guarantee that the first player always has an advantage. Now, what I want to go next is to look at the game in which both players move at the same time. So this is simultaneous moves, and in that game what we usually do is we draw what is called the normal form of the game. So in this Battle of the Sexes game, we can draw it like this in the normal form. This is the husband, this is the wife. Husband can play cricket or shopping. Wife can play cricket or shopping. Now, if both play cricket, then the husband gets 5, wife gets 3. If it's cricket shopping, then the husband gets 1, wife also gets 1, because they are both doing what they like. And now, this is the worst outcome. Husband goes shopping, wife goes cricket, and then this is the other outcome. 3-5. Now, in this game, this is called a simultaneous move game. And so, in the simultaneous move game, there are many different complications. So, first we think about simultaneous move non-cooperative game. So, in this case, both people make moves and nobody can see what the other person is doing. So, husband and wife have to choose strategies independently of each other. So, what will they do? There is no answer to this question. What will they do? Yeah, what? There is no equilibrium in pure strategies. Now what happens here is that basically, you see, what we need to do is to identify the best response. What should the wife do if the husband plays cricket? Oops, ये क्या हो गया? अच्छा ये मैंने वो कर दिया. इसको कैसे मैग्नीफाई करें फिर से? मैंने कोई मूव किया जिससे ये shrink हो गया. Doesn't matter, this is visible, but I just want to learn how this was happening.
ये पेन का कलर चेंज
हाँ,
जी, जी,
red,
जी।
कलर चेंज हो सकता है. Alright, so what is the best strategy if the husband plays cricket here for the wife? It is to play cricket. This is the best response. If the husband plays shopping, then what is the best response? Yes, the husband plays shopping, then she should go shopping. So, in this case, okay. Similarly, we look at the best response for the husband. So, if the wife plays cricket, then the husband should play cricket. If the wife plays shopping, then the husband should play shopping. So now what happens in this game, there are, okay, so yeah, there are two Nash equilibrium. Yes. You have studied Nash equilibrium before? Has everybody studied Nash equilibrium?
Yes. Yes.
Alright. So then, CC is a Nash equilibrium. SS is also a Nash equilibrium. So if both play C, then basically from this strategy, nobody has an incentive to deviate. If they agree upon the CC, then the wife will not cheat or betray, because if she cheats and shifts to shopping, then both of them will lose. And similarly, the husband has no incentive to shift. So so that's why this is an equilibrium. If everybody is on this equilibrium, then there is no incentive for anybody to change in the short run. In the long run, that's different. If the game is repeated, then many things happen. Like if this is a game without any communication, and this is happening, then and this is a repeated game, then and if it's always cricket, wife will complain that, look, alright, sometimes we should go shopping also. So now if there is no communication, then what will happen is that wife can actually choose to play shopping just to punish the husband. And then if he gets the signal, then he will shift his strategy. So actually the right equilibrium in long run would be that one day you both go shopping together, the other day you go cricket together. But it's a coordination problem, how you arrange. So these are complicated things which happen in multi-game situations. But
अगर वो communication नहीं करते तो वो minus में भी जा सकते हैं, जैसे shopping.
Yes, we will see all of those things soon. But the main problem is, you see, and now I'm going to talk about the meta level. This is the theory. Now, theory about theories. Basically, the economists realize that in many situations, strategy is involved. Particularly, you see, when you get to the theory of firm behavior, then you have two firms. So the profit of the firm depends on what the other guy is going to do. They are in an interdependent situation. So you cannot calculate the profit maximization strategy on your own. This is a very serious difficulty, because all of your theory of the firm is based on the idea that you can calculate the profit function. But actually, you cannot calculate the profit function. So the whole theory of the firm is wrong. And that's what I'm trying to teach you, that the theory of utility maximization as a theory of consumer behavior is wrong. The theory of profit maximization as a theory of firm behavior is wrong. And the theory of equilibrium, which puts these two theories together, that's also wrong. So basically, all of economics that you are taught is completely wrong. Now, it's a baffling situation. How come when this theory is completely wrong, they are teaching it at Harvard and at Stanford and all over the world and at Qaid-e-Azam and Islamic University, and in Pi, we are teaching this theory. If last year you had taken this course, you would be learning these as if it was the truth, without any discussion that maybe there is something wrong with this theory. You would be taught that this is what consumers do, this is what firms do, this is how you calculate, this is how you solve, and you would grow up with these delusions, and you would go out into the real world with any completely like a robot who doesn't know anything about reality, but she has been taught these models which are no match for. So how did this world come to this position where things which are absolutely false, completely divorced from reality, these are being taught as truths, and the students also are believing this. I mean, students also have brains. They should be able to see that this is not how consumers behave. This is not how they are themselves consumers. They know that this is not how I behave. So how come? So this is a more complicated question. How it came to be that people became foolish. So big question, smaller question. You see, they thought that so the defects in the theory of the firm was discovered that the firm cannot profit maximize. So what we need is some theory of how the other firm behaves. So that's where you get your Stackelberg equilibrium and your Bertrand equilibrium, etc. These are assumptions about how the other firms will behave, which will allow you to do profit maximization. So one of the frameworks in which you can study how two people behave when they are interacting is this two-player game theory or multiplayer game theory. It's the same thing. So my actions and my profits and everything I do depends on what the other person does. So in that, then there was this theory of Nash equilibrium, which basically says that if you are at a certain equilibrium, that is, all people play a certain move, and in that position nobody has an incentive to deviate, then that's an equilibrium. So that's what C is a best response to C, and C is a best response to C. That is the condition for a Nash equilibrium, that both that your strategy should be a best response to the other person's strategy. In a multiplayer game, the same thing, that assume everybody else is fixed at their strategy and maximize with respect to yours, and if your maximum is at the same place, then this is a Nash equilibrium. Of all of the players should have this condition. So then there is a standard weakness of economists that they say, okay, when we have equilibrium, then we have solved the problem. In fact, in the comment on variance, this is what I've explained, that actually, if you study the behavior of a dynamic system which is changing through time, then you find that almost always there are multiple equilibrium, like this one. So now, then the theory of equilibrium behavior is useless, because which equilibrium is going to emerge? So it turns out that in dynamic systems, usually you have, there are two types of equilibrium. If you look at the system as a differential equation, then some of the equilibriums are attractors, so the system moves towards them. Some of them are repellers, so the actually system moves away from them. And you have studied this in cobweb model. You have seen that in some cases you can move away from equilibrium. In some cases you can move towards the equilibrium. So, and when you have multiple equilibrium, then you can have cycles. There is one equilibrium, another equilibrium, and you can even move like this, moving towards one equilibrium, and then so things like that. So many complicated things can happen. So actually, Varian starts out his book, Intermediate Microeconomics, by saying that we study only equilibrium behavior. We're not interested in how systems get to equilibrium. Actually, the whole game is about how the system gets to equilibrium, and usually it never makes it. So the studying of equilibrium systematically blinds you to the ability to look at the real world. That's why the economists couldn't see the global financial crisis, because it's a disequilibrium behavior. So still they are insisting. So this is the strange thing, that how can you, after the global financial crisis, write a book and say that we want to study equilibrium behavior, when the world in front of you is showing disequilibrium? Then how can you do this? This is a mystery. So now we have two possible equilibrium, and we don't have any clear understanding of which equilibrium will emerge. And actually economists, and this is the problem that economists face. How when they were trying to solve the theory of the firm, to explain how firms will behave by finding equilibrium, and same thing happened in general equilibrium model. The general equilibrium also, you find multiple equilibrium. In rational expectations model, basically again the same problem arises, that what you have in rational expectations, very interesting phenomena of self-fulfilling prophecy. So you see, if all of us believe that the economy will collapse tomorrow, or the bank, then that will happen. So that is an equilibrium, in the sense that if all of us believe that this is going to happen, then it's rational for us to believe that this will happen. But if all of us believe that no, everything is going to be fine, that is also an equilibrium. So now which equilibrium will emerge? That's something you cannot do, you cannot learn by studying the game. This is the crucial thing about multiple equilibrium, that you have something which is called historical specificity. If you want to study which equilibrium will happen, then you have to go actually look at the husband and wife and study their relationship and see how their marriage has been working, in order to understand what will happen. And in some marriages it will be always cricket, some marriages it will be half shopping, but never it will be always shopping. So, but that is something I know by looking at the world. It is a reality issue, it is not an issue of drawing models and boards. Unfortunately, economists only teaches you about blackboards and numbers and calculations. It doesn't teach you, they don't even talk about reality. Why not? This is very important to understand, because in 1890s there was something which was called Battle of Methodologies. In 1890s, economics was a qualitative historical discipline. People describe that this is what happened in history. Germany developed like this, there was industrialization, this, it was all words and literature. Then there was this movement that no, we should turn it into a science. We should draw equations, we should write laws. And there was a battle between these two methodologies, and for reasons, it often happens that the wrong side wins. The barbarians often win battles against civilized people, because civilized people are soft and tame, and barbarians are savages and warlike. So in this case, again, the scientific side, so-called scientific, actually what they thought of as science was actually misunderstanding of science, they won the battle, and so economics became a mathematical. And so there is this book by Geoffrey Hodgson called How Economics Forgot History, and he details details how it happened. It actually, some of the key players died at the wrong time, and they were very important leaders of the side, so that side got weakened. So because of this, so economists said, no, you have to develop laws, so you should not look at history. So if you look at history, if you look at a particular couple and say, okay, this is their relationship, so they will come up with this equilibrium, then this is not science, because you're talking about Jack and Jill, so you're not talking about a universal scientific law. So when you want to talk about scientific law, you can't talk about particular situations, but that means that you're you are done for, because you cannot find out what the solution is going to be. And that is how, because economists forgot history, they arrived at this completely unrealistic economics which is completely detached from reality, and now they can't figure out how to get back, because their mindset, you see, they have this aqidah that we have to do science. So we cannot look at reality. When you look at reality, you are not doing science. So this problem, so now the question, there is a whole problem, and once you have multiple equilibrium, then the question arises, which equilibrium will emerge? And there is no solution to that, but there is a whole theory in game theory, very complicated, sophisticated, difficult mathematics. This is called refinement of Nash equilibrium. So when you have multiple Nash equilibrium, then you study them more carefully to see which one will emerge. But this is all nonsense. It's just mathematical garbage. What really matters here is what is called social norms. And you have situations where you have multiple equilibria, then these equilibria, and if these equilibria are attractors, so people are, there is some, I mean, you can study the dynamics and you can see basically what happens is that somebody plays something, then the other side chooses the best response, and now when this side chooses the best response, the other side chooses their best response, and either it can cycle around or it can settle down. And so in a dynamic setting, eventually there will be, usually, not always, convergence to equilibrium. But the question is, which convergence will happen? There is that depends on the history, actually what actually happened, and also there is a phenomenon of time irreversibility. So time plays a role. I mean, it depends on through one process, one equilibrium could emerge, and through another one could emerge, and while you can get locked into one and it will not be possible for you to move from one to the other. There are many games like that, and we might discuss some of them. But here I want to take basically the meta-theoretical point, that the theories of economists are not dealing with historical specificity. They are not dealing with time irreversibility. They are not dealing with the possibility that you might get trapped into a wrong equilibrium. And so they are not very realistic. Now I want to look at another game which has a great deal of importance. Ultimatum game is also there, but another game in which the theories of economists are very dramatically in conflict with what happens in the real world is the prisoner's dilemma. This. So there is prisoner A and prisoner B, and there are many other ways of formulating this game, but I will use the name which is the most popular one. So A has the strategy of cooperate or betray, and B also has the strategy of cooperate or betray. In the cooperate strategy, both people get 5. But if player B betrays A, then A gets 0 and B gets 10. Again, if B cooperates and A betrays him, then A gets 10 and B gets 0. And if both people betray, then both get 0. So now let's figure out what is the dominant strategy? What is the best response of B? If the player A is cooperating, which is the best response of B? Betray. And if player A is betraying, what is the best response? It's this is equal, both of them. So let me change the game. 1-0-0 को 1-1 कर देते हैं, ठीक है? So now the betray is the best response. And similarly, when we calculate the best response for A, it is also betray and betray. So the story, this game describes many real world situations which actually happen. The original story is about two prisoners who are being questioned separately for some crime that they committed, and if they both cooperate with each other, and each player is offered a bargain that, look, if you testify against the other person, we will let you go free, and the other person, so if they both hold to their position and they don't reveal anything, then they will both get off free, which is a good position for them. But if one of them agrees to testify to the other against the other, then he goes free, while the other one gets imprisoned. So he loses a lot and the other one gains a lot. But if both people testify each other, then they both get punished, and so both lose a little. So the worst thing for both of them is the betray, and the best thing is the cooperate. But according to the standard theory of games, this is the equilibrium that will happen. So that's it. So now this is probably the game which has the maximum amount of literature. There are hundreds of thousands of papers on this, because so one of the robust findings of this literature is that, as one of the people who wrote about it, something which is very dissatisfying to economists but very satisfying to human beings, that the cooperative outcome occurs large number of times, and this is in one-shot games with strangers. So that is the most difficult situation, because if you have even in game theory, if this game is played in a repeated number of times, then people can learn to cooperate. But if it is a one-shot game, and again, if people who are familiar with each other, they can count on each other, they can trust each other, then they will play the cooperate strategy, assuming that the other person will not betray. But actually in real world, even two strangers playing together for only one shot, and they will never meet each other again, and they still do not play the betray strategy as often as game theory predicts. Game theory predicts that this will happen 100% of the time, but actually in reality it happens a minority of the time. The majority of the time people cooperate. So then the question is, what explains the difference between the reality and the model? So this is the most important question, and people other than economists, like psychologists and others, they have been studying it, and finally basically behavioral economics got started because some psychologists looked at the economic theories of behavior and they said that this is ridiculous. How can human beings behave this way? So they studied some experiments. They did some experiments to see if people behave according to the economists' ideas, and they found that no, it never happens. So finally, this field of behavioral economics got started, where instead of studying human behavior by axioms, that okay, people are selfish, people don't care about other people, people have no emotions, all of these are part of the people calculate everything to the last penny and maximize. Maybe not, maybe I don't care. So actually this is what, whenever they studied any of the actions, they found that they were wrong. So Herbert Simon found that people don't maximize, they satisfy. They say, okay, this level of utility is acceptable and that's all. I don't need to get the last drop of the maximum. Because people have a limited amount of energy, so they don't want to spend all their energy figuring out how to get the best maximum benefit in one small area. They say, okay, this is enough, and let me devote my time to something more important than finding the maximum of this. So basically there is a strong mismatch between utility theory and reality. And so if you want to study, if you want to create alternative, it is possible. And in fact, this net logo, this agent-based modeling, is a very good way to study the alternative theory that we can develop. And this is in your hands. I mean, the economics for the 21st century will have no resemblance. And all of these books will be buried in the garbage pile because they contain nothing of value. I mean, if there was something that we could take from them, then maybe we would preserve, but there is nothing of value in them. All of these concepts, consumer utility maximization, firm profit maximization, cooperative game theory, and all that, these are all not very well matched with the real world. And so we are in a position to create theory from scratch. Now, so how do consumers behave? Well, actually the behavior is much more simple than what is the utility maximization model. And those simple behaviors we can put into a net logo model easily. The other thing that the standard economic models don't do is they don't handle heterogeneity. So different people are different. Some people have, I mean, even in utility theory, different people can have different utility functions, but when you construct RBC, real business cycle model, then you assume all people have the same utility. Why? Because if you have different people have different utilities, then you can't calculate the equilibrium. So you say, okay, we have a representative consumer, one person who is just like all the others. If that is so, then you can do the math. If everybody has different utility, then you cannot do the math, and so you give it up. But now, instead of making an unrealistic assumption because you don't know how to calculate, you can put in a realistic model into the computer and have the computer do the calculation. So the possibility of constructing an entirely new and different way of doing economics is open